That was a tough one to take, and it's going to stay for a while. So much. It's a hard to do this, especially after a game like this. Like if you get totally wiped out, that's another thing. But the boys gave so much yet game short. But anyway, so
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of difficult to find the words as you said there, but it is what it is. I think at the beginning of the season we would have taken a
easily.
Champions League semi-finals easily, especially a close one like this. I don't know if it's worse if you know just go out like without even challenging for it, or just going out this with these margins going against us. I don't know what's worse, but we gave it our all, and I was actually genuinely confident going to this game. I genuinely thought, okay, we could do this, and I think we could have done it. I think we were so close, and we showed that we can. We just had to hold on to the ball for 2 minutes, and that was going
You
to be
can't
it.
concede. You
Yeah,
cannot concede at
yeah,
that
yeah.
time. It is not in a game of this high stakes, especially when
Mm,
you've come back like what you have come back. You're like 1 minute away,
yeah.
and we conceded that goal. It's just, you know,
It's very annoying and it's heartbreaking, and it is what it is. I think it also kind of speaks volumes to our team because our team is young, and we keep saying that the team is young, they're inexperienced, and maybe this was it. Maybe this was the moment that they realize, okay, we are young, we are inexperienced, we don't know how to handle these
see up a
situations because
game.
yeah, we never been in these situations before in a Champions League semi-final, and you got so far. You were 2-0 down in 2 games in a row. You claw your way back. You scored 3 goals, and then
Still, you
these
don't win.
things happen. Yeah, and yeah, it don't win. Yeah, I think I was super confident. I was genuinely thought, okay, we are the better team, and still think that we could have beaten Inter. But it is what it is. They are very experienced. They are very good. Inter, obviously, they are. They know what they're doing. They had the tools to hurt us, and they did hurt us. But I also think that I'm not going to say all their goals, but many of their goals have come through our own mistakes and us actually shooting ourselves in the foot. And yes, it hurts now, but I think the season still,
No, I have no problems with
yeah,
the season. I have no problems with the season. I mean, whether we win or not, and I said this before as well. I think season-wise, it's okay what we have achieved. I mean, the biggest thing was turning the narrative on the club, and that has been achieved. I think they left their San Siro pretty with their heads held high. There's no
mhm.
question on that, and we won a lot of you know um, support and a lot of accolades and all of that stuff. So season-wise, I'm okay. It's just that this game itself, it's just hard to take. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's been so long since we've been to a Champions League semi-final, but also the final as well. The last final was in 2015, which we won against Juventus, and I really felt like this was the year that we're gonna make it. This was the year that we're gonna make
but it's so
history with
hard.
these
Like
children.
Champions League, it's
It
it's
is.
it's luck, it's
Uh,
everything. You don't really make it to the final even when you play very well. So to have come this far and then like there was just 1 minute left, and yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, that was yeah, exactly. And we were so close from eternity, from glory, but now, I mean, still, we can still focus on the positives because this team again once again showed they can claw back from anything. They don't quit. They don't admit defeat until the final whistle, and you can't win them all. Sadly, our I don't want to say luck, but yes, our luck runs out tonight. But we still have the league to focus on. We still have Madrid next, which is even tougher now because we've played 120 minutes and we
this
lost.
will be tough. First
Yeah,
of all, the morale, then 120. Madrid is clawing for something. They're going to give it
yeah,
all.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if we lose that game, the next three are quite hard.
They are,
So
they are, they are quite.
it can be quite iffy in the league as well. But let's keep that aside. Against PSG last year, and today on 2 goals. Ronald Araujo.
Yeah,
Is
I
he
think he.
staying or is he being sold?
um,
You can't really fault him alone for, okay,
yeah,
fine, the whole
yeah.
team is responsible and all that. But
Mm.
how do you let, being a central defender, marking, how do you let a 37-year-old Serbi score that one? And how do you let Turam turn you and do that? Uh,
Yeah, a half fit to Ram and a
Either.
centre back scoring on Araujo's watch. I think that's it is. These were exactly the situations that we subbed him on for because that's where he's meant to excel, right? So I
We
don't
built
care
that.
if yeah. So I don't care if we criticize him for his passing, whatnot. But this is the thing that makes Araujo, right? So defending, this is what he's meant to be,
The physical
leagues above
part,
the rest.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a pure
he,
defense. Yeah.
yeah, pure defensive shift. That's what Araujo's meant to be doing. He came up short twice, and twice we conceded. Now, yes, I will say
Today he
that
came up twice.
there's
Last year it was the same thing with PSG when we were probably
yeah,
playing quite good with Xavi
yeah.
and in the quarterfinals, and that penalty really changed the game for us.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's difficult to just pinpoint, as I said, difficult to pinpoint this on him alone because obviously, why did we even let them go into that situation? Why was no one closing Acerbi down inside the box? Even I mean, there were players around them. We had a 3 versus 1 against Turam on the wings when he was receiving the ball as well. So those situations favored us, and we had like a 5 versus 4 in the initial stage of that transition as well. So these situations were not meant to concede. I mean, not meant to. Statistically, or if you look at it that way, those situations still favored us, and somehow Inter came up on top. And that cannot really happen in a Champions League semi-final. And Champions League is very much a game of moments, and Inter just managed their moments better. We missed chances that Inter would never miss. Right? We they
Also,
scored all their chances.
one is they scored like 7 goals out of 9 chances, simple in the
Yeah,
aggregate. And I mean, how many saves does Jan Sommer make, and how
yeah,
many
that
did we
was
make?
yeah, that was insane. Yeah, that was
Like,
insane. I think
like how
to
many did he actually save today, right? And how many did? I mean, Chesney's great and all of that stuff, and whatever. But I mean,
yeah.
did our yeah? I mean, should we not think about that goalkeeper position and
Oh,
situation?
absolutely. If we go in the next season with the same goalkeepers, then no. I mean,
You can't
great.
win in these
No.
situations if you don't have a like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like look at what Courtois did against Celta, right? Um,
Mhm.
it's insane. And so there are so many questions. First is the goalkeeper. Then you have, I mean, we both, yeah, we've supported Frankie a lot, but I mean, these are the games where he needs to step up and do a lot more.
Mhm.
Araujo, same. Um, then we need to think about okay, next year. I mean, if you're now you think about okay, the season's coming to an end. Either we
Mhm.
will win La Liga or we won't win La Liga. If we don't win La Liga, it will be a two cup. It will win it's a domestic treble, whatever. Um, but obviously, you need to start thinking about next season and what the team is going to
Yeah.
be and so on and so forth. Uh, where's your head at, Dom?
Well, first of all, I think the foundation that we have at the moment is amazing. So to go into next season with these players already having this experience under their belt is massive. So I think first of all that will be a massive upgrade on the team. Now then after that, after assessing what we have, what's good, and we have a lot of good in our team. We have a foundation that can last us, a decade easily if we take care of that foundation, obviously. And then yes, you obviously have to think hard about which players should not be a part of the foundation, and then which players can replace the players that you will ship out because Barca will sell players this summer,
They have
and
to,
yeah, they have to. And if we're gonna make any money, they'll have to sell some of the big names. And we keep going back
and also if
to
they have to
this.
win, like I mean, if they have to like be serious contenders for the Champions League next season as well, which I think they will want to be.
They
I
want to
think
be,
there
yeah.
are this year showed that there are definitely gaps out there
There are gaps, and this team is far from complete. And yes, you can also again we can go back to the injuries as well because we've lost Balde and Kunde for the
at
most
the same time.
crucial stretch, yes, of the season. We didn't have Lewandowski. Now some people will say, okay, that's a good thing, but it's overall bad thing, obviously. So there is some luck or misfortune involved in that, but there's also squad depth that we keep mentioning. There's also fatigue that we keep mentioning. There's a lot of factors going into this. There's also our style of play. We've been very gang ho the whole season. and it was bound to catch up eventually. Now, when you've played three competitions and you want to be competitive, you want to challenge for all three. This is what's going to happen. If you don't have a squad that can handle that in depth wise, then these things, yeah, can happen and will happen and have happened to us now. Now, looking at the positions that we need to reinforce, I think I don't know, man. The goalkeeper position, I think, should be the one as well because you can't
Wingers,
go into next season. Yeah, you can't go
fullbacks.
into next season. I know, yeah, fullbacks as well. Because if you look, well, I mean, we have some sort of decent replacements, but none of our replacement fullbacks or substitute fullbacks are the fullbacks that will change your game. Although, yeah, I say that, but then again, Eric was good, and also Jerry Martin did in the end kind of pull things back in our
The
favor
first
as
half
well.
was
But
atrocious, but yeah, second half, you got
yeah,
to give him credit where it's due. Um,
mhm,
but I still like he was. Yeah, he's got a good weight of pass, but I mean, by the end of it, he could barely walk.
mhm,
He was done and dusted. And again, in that first half, that those two goals did hurt us. Yes, we clawed back. Yes, we fought, and so on and so forth. But when you're 45 minutes down and you're two
yeah,
goals down, like we weren't dominating from the get go, and so on.
mhm,
So, I mean, you got to keep those in mind as well. Of course,
mhm,
he redeemed himself, got a couple of assists, and so on and so forth. And maybe if Rafinha's goal had been the last goal, and we had time wasted 5 minutes, which we couldn't for whatever reason, and conceded of it. But you got to still think about that. Like, who's the backup? Like, if I mean, injuries will happen, right? So let's say Balde gets injured again. Like, who's the backup? Like, what's the
yeah.
fullback situation? Who's the winger situation? What's the midfield going to be like? I'm still think. I mean, the midfield is like we have great players on paper, but again, I don't know. Today, did you feel the midfield had that much of an impact on the game? Really? Like the consolidated midfield. Yes, Pedri played well in bits and pieces, sure, but overall, was there midfield dominance throughout the game? I didn't feel so.
It's difficult. I think Olmo definitely had a rough first half,
It
and
was terrible. I mean, and
overall,
it's not the first game. Like from the
yeah,
injury till now, I mean, it's been about 8 or 9 or 10 games where Olmo hasn't really shown up.
yeah. I think that was a massive problem for us in the first half. I think Frankie and Pedri were both good. Pedri had a rough first half as well. It was bits and pieces, as you said, in the first. But second half, Pedri did come to life a bit more. He did impose himself. I think Frankie was outstanding throughout the game. Most of the game, I think Frankie was really really good at what he was meant to be doing, even defending. And people will say things, but obviously, there will always be different opinions. But I think as a whole, as the midfield
That's
trident,
not the
no.
point, though. Like he's good and he did good, and we have always. But my point is for somebody who has that stature in the team, right? Um, is that all that we expect from him, or can we get something similar from somebody who probably, uh, you know, uh, yeah, who can possibly cost a little less so that we can cover another place, which is much more important for us from that perspective. Is that possible? For what he does, for the role that he plays, his job is not to score goals. So okay, let's leave that aside. His job is probably also not to defend. Okay, so leave that aside. His job is to probably man the midfield and be the pivot. Okay, are there others who can do the similar job at a lower cost so that we can get some of that to get somebody else who is more needed in another position? That's the question.
Um, I don't think there's another Frankie on the market. Not quality wise, not for a lower price. Maybe there is, but we just haven't found him yet, or haven't scouted him yet, at least. But I think Frankie is far from our problems. I don't think he's a problem at all. His errors are very much exaggerated in my eyes. I know that when you use the eye test, it can be very biased either way. I can be biased, you can be biased, everyone can be biased. And if you can't really distance yourself from that bias, you will always see more of what you want to see. Now, statistically speaking, when you look at what Frenkie de Jong brings to this team, rarely anyone comes close to what he does on the pitch for Barca. So I don't think Frenkie is the problem. Now, can we replace, if we were to sell him, let's say he goes, can we replace what he does to an extent, but not of the same quality. I think Gavi does similar things to Frankie, just not as good. Pedri does similar things to Frankie, but then if you have Pedri in the Frankie role, then Pedri can
But
now
what is
really
he? Is he a
be
controller? Is he a distributor? What role does
both
Frankie play?
controller, distributor as well. But also, I think his defensive thing is also underrated. But yes, to your point, controller and distributor, he can be both. Now he is the player who's further back. He's not someone who's going to charge forward. He can do that, but his in his current role, he doesn't. So if you put someone to replace Frank, you have to accept that if you put Pedri in that role, for example, Pedri can do that role. He can, but you will limit him in a way because he won't be as present in the up higher areas of the pitch anymore, because Frankie's role limits him somewhat to the first phase and even in the backline itself. So from that perspective, whoever takes on Frankie's role has to accept that he won't necessarily be an all action every phase of the game type of player, and you want Pedri in that phase, in that role, to be everywhere on the pitch. So I wouldn't put Pedri in Frankie's role. Gavi, I would put Gavi in Frankie's role, for example. I would. And Gavi would do a decent job. Now, would Gavi do the same job as Frankie? We don't know
Probably
that
no.
because probably no. Probably no, but he has the attributes, he has a profile to mimic what Frankie does. But as of right
It's just that
now,
even like, I mean, yeah, we have played sparkling football many times this season. We have scored tons and tons of goals and so on and so forth. But I, I, I never felt that we had midfield superiority or midfield dominance from the get go. Like with all the different permutations that we have tried, yeah, some games have been good. Sure, we have won them and we've scored boatloads of goals and all of that. But that midfield dominance that you talk about, I just don't see Barca have it. And maybe that is because of the way Flick plays. That's also possible because it's a different style of playing. Maybe there's not so much emphasis. And whether the answer is Frankie or not, that's beside the point. But within what we have, it's probably not just a Frankie answer. It's
no, I don't
the
think that's
question
the
is
that's
possibly, is our midfield functioning the way the midfield should function? That's the question.
I think of all the things that we saw, I don't think midfield is anywhere near the problem, Dev. So we have Bernal
We
coming
shipped,
back. We don't
we
we,
shipped
we don't
7 goals, and you're saying midfield is not a problem.
No, not midfield. The midfielders without a fault tonight. Olmo, yeah, sure, rough game. But have you seen how Pedri and Frankie brushed off Inter's attack the whole second half? That was control. That was control. The recycling is control. That's control for Barca. Um, I can see your face there, but no, it is.
No, I mean, we can disagree. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I personally, I find it hard to like.
But what would be dominance for you then? Midfield dominance. Describe it. What exactly is midfield dominance?
I mean, first of all, we shouldn't be like, this is the second game with Inter, which we conceded. I mean, in the first one, we conceded 3 goals, and then we have to make up 3 goals. This time, we conceded 2 goals, and we had to make up after that. If
Yeah.
you have midfield dominance, that shouldn't happen.
Why?
If you're so
Champions League.
technical,
But it's a moments game. Inter had, you said
of
this
course,
yourself.
it's a moments
They
game.
have nine chances to score 7. I mean, that
That's
really
for both.
happens.
That's for both of
I know.
us, right?
I
That's
know.
for both
Yeah.
teams. It's for both.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we?
But that's again not the
Why couldn't
midfielder's
we?
fault.
We couldn't play against their midfield. They were outmuscled,
What?
completely
No.
outmuscled for the majority of it.
No. They mostly yes, but not by the midfielders. Not by
I
the
mean,
midfielders.
throughout, I mean, if you look every 50-50, we lost in that first half.
Yes, but not the midfielders'
It was
fault again.
yeah, our midfield was overrun, Dom. Completely overrun.
But
Yes,
you
second
can't
half
say
we got a semblance of accuracy out there. Sure, there was a
okay.
little bit more control. I agree with you on that. But the first half, they were raiding like pretty easily on both flanks, the through the center of the pitch.
No, over the
Where
center
was
of
the
the pitch.
control in
Over
the
this,
midfield?
so you can't control the game without the ball, right? That's the thing. The pressing was the problem.
So
Our
isn't the
settle
midfield's job to control the ball and ensure that the
and
ball
they
is
did,
circulated?
but you can't have the ball 90 minutes of the game, Dev. When they had the ball, they were very, very effective at bypassing our press. And yes, that can be down to midfielders not being always at the timing is not always perfect, obviously, yes. But when they had the ball and then when they had to do their jobs, 90% of the time, the midfielders did their job. Pedri and Frenkie did their jobs 90% of the time. Now, off the ball, you can't put it on the midfielders off the ball or say, okay, because we don't have a dominant midfield, we couldn't close the gaps when they had the ball. The game is played in both boxes, right? You can't expect to play the full game with you in possession and you being the only team on the ball. When we were off the ball, we could not establish ourselves. See, the settled pressing of Barca was not non-existent. The counter pressing of Barca was very
So
good.
where were we
And
weak?
then
If the midfield was good, where were we weak? Defense, offense.
we pressing first of all. Second of all,
Who is so? Is it a segmented thing? Or who?
it's a structural thing. It's a team thing, Dev. It's never an individual thing. It's a team thing. See, when we press, what happens is they put the Marco very high, which meant Eric Garcia, who didn't know, okay, do I push forward or do I stay back and cover the Marco? And then when you intercircle the ball to the left side, it was so easy for them to just isolate the left back or left center back, if you
Would that
want,
be flick
and then
problem?
it would be a flick problem, absolutely a flick problem, because the structure of the pressing was flawed. And when you are exposed that way in off the ball, of course they're going to bypass the midfield. And you can't say, okay, we don't have technical midfielders, so we couldn't contain them. We did contain them. When we were in possession, we had all the control. We had all the midfield dominance in possession. But that's where our
Maybe
midfield
we
was
disagree in
meant.
this. I didn't see control, honestly, but it can be different, so that's fine. It's okay. Let's take some questions. A lot of pointers here. Let's stick with quite a few. Let's go. Which one? There's a lot. Um,
Yeah, which one?
let's start with the end, right?
Okay.
In the wing backs caused us the problems they did throughout. They
Yeah.
did. And our flanks were completely raided, and we had no answers. 420 minutes almost this game and the last game. So, yes, 100% that was a problem. And obviously, Balde and Kunde not being there also affected. But, Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, and that's the thing. See, it was always an quote unquote easy pass over the whole pitch and then into the isolated wing backs. Once they beat the press, that's it, right? They needed one pass into the forwards, into the wing backs, and that's what Inter have been doing since, I don't know, almost the whole game. The first half they had more agency, but from the second half until the end of the extra time, that's all they did. Lofted long ball into Thuram or into the wing back. That's it. So it was they never touched the ball. They didn't have anything. So that's why I'm saying that our midfield did their job, because Inter had no ball and they had only one way of attacking. Sadly for us, they capitalized on their one tool that they had, and they could do that. We couldn't do that. We had more chances to score, we didn't score. They had fewer chances to score, they scored more. Sometimes that happens in the Champions League. Unfortunately, that's what happened to us as well. Now that doesn't mean that Inter are a bad team. No, they just have different tools and they maximize their tools. And that's it. But the wingbacks were definitely a problem. And yes, Kunde and Balde are not, especially Balde, because Balde would have been the profile to actually go back and forth along the whole flank and actually do the job that way. Gerard Martin cannot really keep up with that, not throughout the whole game, and he had to do that a lot. So yeah, there you go. Kind
All
of like that.
right. Where else do we go? The team has more control with Casado. Is that
Nah,
so?
I adopt that. See, when the team is dominating in and is camping in the opposition half, then yes, Castro can be a powerful tool, a better counter pressing tool. But I would still not pick him over Frankie De Jong. That's the dilemma. I think that's what most people are trying to bring up. I wouldn't. I don't think Castro changes the game for us tonight. Although he would improve our counter pressing, and counter pressing was tonight our better way of actually disrupting Inter Milan, better than settled pressing, definitely.
Oh my God, it was the long ball that our defenders could not win. Is it? Did
Yeah,
we really concede all the 4 goals from long balls? Just the 7 goals from long balls? I don't think so. But did we?
Oh, we couldn't control the long balls. That is also true. But no, we didn't concede all the goals from long balls. I don't even remember what we. Okay, the penalty. We had a penalty. We had the Olmo giveaway, and then the Araujo thing in the second two goals. Well, we couldn't control the long balls because of Thuram and because of our pressing.
Long ball
Thuram,
control, like the second ball and the long ball. I mean, of course they won, but I think if you look at the goals we conceded, they were field goals. The pure field goals. The penalty, obviously, that can be contentious, or some people may say it might not be but it probably was, and probably we were hard done by a few calls that should have gone our way, probably. But overall, I think if you look at all the goals that Inter scored, the 7 goals that they scored over the 2 legs, field goals, defensive
field goals.
lapses, or across the high line, or just played through wings, cutbacks, and we were done. That's basically what happened throughout the game. Um, so yes, our defenders could not win the long ball, but at times, but what when we really conceded, it was not the long ball that caused the problem. Um, I'm tired of the blame game. There's no blame game. We just stopped discussing because I mean, what do you talk about then, right? We talk about we can always say that it was great, it was amazing, and so on. But there's no blame. Some things go wrong. That's it. The season is amazing. There's no question on that. Anybody would have told us, at the beginning of the season that we'll go to the semifinal, right? How can you think about at the 87th minute you are 3-2 up? Yeah, there are mistakes. Now that doesn't mean it's good or bad, but it's what we're talking about. Okay. What else can we take? There's some criticism that doesn't make sense at all. There, Frankie had 6x6 higher than Pedri. Does that make sense? He doesn't have control. Yes, numbers wise, it's great. Frankie has great numbers, but I just didn't see control, because if we had control, we wouldn't have conceded 4 goals. That's it. Very simple argument. And I'm not saying it's just Frankie.
I,
The whole
yeah.
midfield did not function, and that's what I've been saying. Right? It's not Frankie. Frankie, number wise, yeah, sure, we have lots of numbers. I mean, 690 passes, 87%, accurate. So yeah, sure, we had lots of passes. But I never felt that we were in control of the match. Never. Throughout.
Never. I
No,
felt that like from the first 20 minutes, all Barca.
I never
Next
felt
10,
like
15 minutes,
47
Inter were
when
better.
we conceded like 2-0, right, on the penalty.
Yeah.
After that, after the break, we had probably got Inter on the ropes for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and we should have killed it at that time. We didn't. From 75th, they started coming back. We got a score of, a lucky rebound, and we scored 87th. Had we hung on to that, we would have. But throughout the, yeah, barring Lamine and yes, his fantastic ability to create stuff out of nothing, no, didn't feel in control. I didn't. Many others might have felt that. That doesn't mean we were outplayed. I also didn't feel that we were outplayed completely. This wasn't Anfield, or this wasn't what happened with Liverpool or Roma. Definitely not. The team was playing consistently, but I never felt that, we had a firm grip on the match.
I felt exactly that, like several times throughout the match. I was confident in the opening 20 minutes. Okay, we conceded a couple of goals, silly goals, and then it was Inter from minute 20 to minute 35 or something like that.
Yes.
That was Inter, and they were piling on top of us, and that's where they scored 2 goals, and that's where I felt okay. This game is kind of slipping through our hands. But then from second half onwards until I would even say end of extra time, I think we were in a good position to. I felt like we were in a good position to win the whole time. And on the ball, I didn't feel like we lacked control. We had enough control. We didn't have enough threat at all times, maybe, but control, we kept them at bay for quite a long time. In possession, I think we did a lot of good stuff. Now, this is not down to midfield specifically, it's the whole team, and it is Lamine, and it is Pedri, and these players pulling the team with their teeth. That's absolutely true. But I don't think that was the issue. And we have to remember that Inter scored some of the most sublime goals, or the
Incredible
goals that
goals.
they should not have scored, and they
Incredible
will
goals.
not score. Yeah, and we did have some luck as well with the Rafinha, with the own goal. I mean, last game, and then even now the rebound from Rafinha as well. So we did have some luck, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely has.
So it goes both ways. But I don't know. I didn't feel at all that we were out of sorts. That's, I don't know if that's a
No,
good
I
thing
didn't
or a
say out
bad
of sorts. We
thing.
played. This wasn't like, an 8-2. This wasn't like we didn't have any identity or anything. I just didn't feel that we controlled them. That's all. We can play. I never felt like there are a few games this season where I felt Barca completely in control. Like Benfica, we won 5-4 against them. Did I feel Barca were in control? No. But Barca won. That's okay. Right. So so there are many games like that where I personally have felt that they're not in control, but they're winning. So it's okay. um and no, that doesn't mean it's a Frankie problem or other person's problem. It's just about overall, um do you have the structure in place? And as you rightly pointed out, maybe it's a Flick problem, maybe it's the structure, maybe it's the out of position play, maybe it's the people that you have, maybe it's how you are pressing or the lack of pressing. It can be all of those things, right? So it's not particularly a personnel problem, because one person cannot cause that. You've got 10 people on the pitch playing. So your point is valid from that perspective. Um, then we need more muscle. Frankie did well. We need a stronger MDA, but those goals, nothing you can do. Hit the goalpost, and Summer come on clutch. Summer did come on clutch. I think I
Yeah,
don't know how many goals he scored. Probably 10 or something. I think from Lamine alone, he saved about 6 or 7. So yeah, Jan Sommer was just like right up there.
yeah, he was making saves that, I mean, he is a good goalkeeper, absolutely. There's no denying that. But he was making saves that, I don't know. I don't know if maybe some Inter fans, if there are some people who watch Inter regularly, can you confirm that someone makes those saves regularly? Because I have not seen him make such spectacular saves in a single game in a row, so many times. I've not seen him do that in the longest time. So
He
I
just had
can't really.
the game of his
Yeah,
life today, probably.
exactly, which is, what we always say it, but it really does happen to Barca more often than not. Which is, it absolutely sucks, but it is what it is. Again, guys, and now the focus shifts towards Real Madrid, because how can this team recover now in time, physically and mentally, to face Madrid, and then, because then, if we do we face Madrid, we beat Madrid, suddenly everything changes once again. Once again, we'll be on top. Once again, we'll be celebrating, because we are very reactive as a fan base, and obviously now, yes, the blame game is going across social media. I'm sure of it, and people are trying to find reasons, or excuses or scapegoats to pin this onto someone. But the
Yeah,
reality is,
I think overall
we
the team wasn't
yeah,
there.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't think
we
this is one person's fault. This is the team that has given us so much joy. So again, there's no question, at least from my side, that the season is a success, and it will be a success even if we don't win the league. 100%, no questions on that. I think what they have done, they've already proved it. They've already proved everything that they had to prove as a team. Yes, if we win the league, that's great, awesome. If we had won Champions League, that's supposed to be cherry on the cake, top. But these two games are not going to define the season. The season has been incredible, and what these people have done is incredible from that perspective. So that way, super happy. Couldn't have asked for more. I didn't even expect this much when the season started. So yeah, I mean, if Clasico, we lose Clasico, am I going to be tremendously upset? No, I'm not. I'm okay. To be entirely honest with you. Um, Rest of the games we will see. Villarreal is not easy. I think Athletic Club won't be easy. None of them are easy games that are there, even after Madrid. So it'll be interesting to see. But there's something to play for sure. There's something to play
Mhm.
for, and something that we have already won, so which is not that bad. I
Yeah,
mean, as a season, I think, yeah, it's a super successful season, considering we spent what, how 3 million in the summer window of in transfers. That's all we spent. All right. So or sorry, Olmo came. So that's about 40 million,
oh,
60
okay.
million. Right. That's the only player that we bought. Um, Talk about Olmo. He's obviously got a big contract but given his injuries and his lack of being a sure he scored a goal today, but would you say that he has shown up at the right times in the right places whenever it was needed?
Oh, that's a that's very difficult to say because he's not really been available as much as we would have loved to, and we knew that will happen. We thought, okay, maybe it doesn't happen with Barca. Maybe at Barca he will rediscover his fitness or whatnot. And yes, he's been good in games. I think he's won us a couple of games, at the very least, maybe 2 or 3 games. We have won due to almost contributions directly. But is that enough to say, okay, that was 60 million well spent on a player that has changed our team completely?
I
I
think that
don't
was the
think
question that
so.
you raised even then when he
Yeah,
came in. Your main question, I remember, I think you wrote an article as well, which was around,
yeah,
is 60 million worth? I'm almost
yeah,
great, but could you
yeah,
have spent the same money on somebody else and so on? Um, and obviously, when he plays and he's on song, he's incredible. He can find those pockets of space. He can do all kinds of magic, and it's beautiful. But I mean, more often than not, when we really needed him this season, we haven't been able to count on him, and
yeah,
that's been a challenge.
yeah. That's the biggest challenge because a full season of a fit Olmo playing
That'd be
the football
incredible.
that yeah, that'd be incredible. Playing the football that we know he can play because when he has been available and he when he has been on form, he completes our midfield and he adds something special to our midfield, that bit of a magic that we need. But you can't say that he's a critical part of that midfield because no player, no matter how good that player can be or is, can be a critical part of anything if he's not there like 60-70% of the time. Just it doesn't work that way. And we kept saying that you can't be this differential person for Barcelona if you're not playing, if you're on the sidelines most of the season. So we do go back to that. Now, obviously, if we can use Olmo for the rest of the season and we actually win La Liga and he proves to be differential in against Madrid and in the last couple of games, sure, we can somehow say, okay, maybe the investment was worth it after all. However, looking at it as a whole, objectively, that much money for a player who sporadically gives you magic, and he does give you magic, but sporadically, that's not enough for a Barca type player. For Barcelona, if we're gonna buy players, high caliber players who are expensive, because 60 million for Barca at the moment is very expensive. So you need to be absolutely sure that investment is well placed. And there's so many doubts about this transfer that I can't say for sure that it was worth it because if it was absolutely worth it, we wouldn't be having this discussion just now. So that's it.
Yeah, that's just one of those things. Would you have started a different lineup today, Dom, than
I
what we
think
saw?
so. Yeah, we
What would
we
you have
talked
gone
about.
with?
I think this largely the same, but we talked about last time on the last stream. We said Fermin for Olmo, and I think I would have gone with Fermin for Olmo. We said, okay, if Balde is fit, Balde plays, but Balde obviously wasn't fit. The rest is, I think we said it would be that this way. I said Christensen wouldn't play because it just wouldn't make sense to play him out of nowhere because he's
Yeah,
obviously not match sharp, not for a game of this caliber. So
yeah.
I said, okay, Flick would go for the proven thing, but the only change would be, in my opinion, Furman for Olmo. But then he didn't go for that, for better or
So
worse.
Furman would have been the only change that you would have gone with in the like the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The only other potential change would be Araujo and an Indigo left back, but I'm so not sold on Indigo
You were
left
not.
back.
I think you were right in that. I mean, as long as Inigo, we can't really fault Inigo for something in this match. I mean, he played
No,
his
no, he
role
was he was really good. Yeah,
quite
he
well,
was really
actually.
good. Yeah, he was really good. Araujo thing happened. Now it could have been, it could have been someone else in that position, and it's not really okay. It's only Araujo's fault. Again, once the ball got into the area,
It shouldn't have got
s-
into that area in that
yeah,
manner because
that
they were
yeah,
targeting it
mm,
consistently. We knew this was going to happen. If it happens, it's going to happen this way, and it happened that way. So
yeah.
obviously, it is not just Araujo, but
No,
yes,
it's not.
when you are marking somebody like Serbi in that position, how does he spin and get a shot off without you muscling him out? Is the question. That's basically
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's very difficult. Yeah, to not to say it's Araujo's fault, but yeah, I mean, and now I'm watching on Twitter. There's a lot of footage of that last goal. That goal where Gerard Martin was fouled, and the slow motion shows he was definitely um that he definitely fouled. It was
Yeah,
definitely a
that's
foul.
basically what
Uh,
Flick was complaining about, and he got that yellow card,
yeah,
right,
and
and so on.
I don't get how it wasn't checked by the VAR, and it's just it's
So
weird.
there's somebody with a neutral referee, you're never going to win. And I think we don't do this here, but you know, everybody has entitled to their opinion. But unless we got referees playing for us in three different years, three different games, uh, mistakes happen,
Yeah,
connections
they do.
go right. And I think, and in today's match, I think there were plenty of calls that didn't go our way. Not all
Yeah,
just penalties and stuff. I think even fouls, yellow cards, and so on and so forth. Now, should we spend time on that, or should we just go with what we have? Probably keep it clear might be helpful. But for sure, without any doubts, there were a few calls today that probably shouldn't have gone in that way. But that happens. I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy to get Barcelona out. No, I mean, we played. Some
yeah,
things go your way, some things don't go your way. But for sure, I think there was a penalty. There was this Gerard Martin incident before the goal. And if he calls for a foul, then the goal doesn't happen, and so on. Doesn't mean that we still wouldn't have conceded or lost on penalties or what have you. Possible. But yeah.
yeah. I mean, we don't talk about referees for for a reason here, guys, because it just you can't win with we can't accomplish anything by that. I at least that's what we feel. Tonight, yes, seeing those replays now, obviously our heads are still hot and emotions are high, so we're looking for something, right? Something to latch on to. And those fouls that were not called or VAR that wasn't
Yeah.
checked on the handball and stuff like that, it will make you feel a bit better. You can say, okay, oh, the referee did
More
this or
so
that.
because when
But
you remember
yeah,
the Europa season where Inter dumped us into Europa, that game also had a lot of calls that didn't go our way. There was a penalty on Dembele. There was other stuff that didn't happen. So,
yeah,
we can all come up with examples and screenshots and say, okay, this was right and that was wrong. There's no point in doing that.
yeah,
But yeah, for sure. I think this is the third time against Inter in the last few years that we haven't got the rub of the green against them. Forget the
yeah,
game and who won and who lost, but just in the game, we crucial decisions haven't gone in Barca's direction of favor.
yeah,
That
yeah,
doesn't mean that somebody had a conspiracy theory against us. It just didn't go. That's fine. Happens in football. Araujo is 26. He's going to peak sooner or later. I wonder if there's an improvement we can do, or this is the best we can have. I don't know. Can we do an improvement? In this
uh,
system, I doubt. In a different system, probably yes. But in Flick's system, I doubt he can be better than what he is right now. But Dom, you're much better at this. What do you think?
um,
Do we just sell him or make him better? What do we do?
the good thing is Araujo's weaknesses are coachable. So I'm not talking about the on the ball stuff, passing and all that stuff. You're never gonna make Araujo as good of a passer as Kubarsi, for example. That's not gonna happen. But to make Araujo an even better defender in terms of how he reads the play, how he defends space rather than always defending the man. Because tonight, when he lost that duel against Turam, that was Araujo losing at his own game.
Yeah,
Now, that doesn't, we can fault him for many things, but that doesn't happen as often, right? Araujo doesn't often lose physical battles
yeah.
or one
He
versus
won. He
ones.
wins. You're right.
He wins them. He
You're
can
going to
win
give
them. He
them that.
can,
Correct.
yeah. But what Araujo doesn't do well is to read the play well or predict the play well, defend the space in advance. So he can defend a man. So he can go one versus one. He can outmuscle someone. He can physically dominate someone. But he has to be one step ahead of someone to be an elite defender. Now that can Araujo be doing that consistently? That will be the next evolution for Araujo. And those things can be coached. I think those things can be coached. Now, is he someone who's going to, yeah, are we going to invest that time and energy into coaching Araujo into being someone potentially who can improve? Because I don't know if Araujo under Flick breaks into that first team, even as a better defender, because Flick values certain things over some of the things that Araujo brings you, obviously. Otherwise, we would have seen him in the starting lineup far more often. So I think overall, on balance, I'm trying to be as objective as I can because my obviously we still have this Araujo performance in the back of our minds, but I'm not sure Barca are going to invest as much into him if this proves to be too much of a task, so too
Yeah.
time consuming, or something that's not going to guarantee us big results. And then Araujo is also one of the sellable assets, so
Assets.
yeah. So in that from that perspective, I wouldn't say that we're gonna see a newer evolution of Araujo at Barcelona. I don't think so. It's possible, but don't
Let's
think
take a
so.
minute about Inter. How good were they over two legs?
Yeah,
I think even before we played them, I think even during the the when the season started and when we were making our progression through Champions League, and there were questions about, okay, we are playing very well, maybe we can go all the way, and it was always that Inter had the team or the
hmm
way of playing that could hurt Barca, and ultimately that's what happened. Inter was the team that we couldn't get across the line. Now, as you think about Inter going in the finals, obviously, probably PSG. Yes, Arsenal can still go. Theoretically, everything is possible. But against a PSG, do you see this Inter side? Do you see Inter winning this thing?
I think they have it in them. And I mean, Inzaghi is a brilliant coach. He's
Coach,
shown
you're a
that.
brilliant coach.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to do this with this ball, I still think Barca are the better team.
Yes,
Obviously, I'm
I agree with you
biased.
on that.
Obviously,
Barca
yeah,
had a
we
better
are.
team. He was better coached, and I think I don't know. They just had a game plan and they stuck to it
Yeah,
very well.
yeah, I think they had a great game plan. They knew what would work. They knew what they were good at, and they also, as we keep saying, they scored like 7 of their 9 chances, and that rarely happens, right? Especially for this Barca. This Barca still needs 100 chances to score 3 or 4 goals.
They
This
became
Inter needed.
Rafinha in the early part of the season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Rafinha from the early season would have scored a couple more, and that's it. But yeah, the difference tonight was, and the last game was, Inter just needed 2, 3 wonder goals, which they scored effortlessly, and we needed 100 chances to score equal number of goals, and then we scored one less in the end, and then we lost. So how does this Inter match up against PSG or Arsenal? See, I don't know. I still think that the winner of PSG and Arsenal will likely be the winner of the Champions League. I still think that. Now, Inter can challenge anyone. We saw that tonight because they have beaten a team that's better than them, the team that has more quality, and a team that was, in my mind, still the favorite going into the second leg. So these things happen, and sometimes you can just ride that momentum. And if Inter can ride this momentum into the final, why not? I mean, I can see that. But on paper, I would still favor whoever goes through from the other side of the bracket. But we'll see.
I would agree. Somehow I feel Inter will find it if it's PSG, they'll find it hard against PSG
Yeah, yeah,
to contain. And they're very strict to find way of playing. But anyway, this is an interesting point. The path that we had was one of the easiest. I think we can agree that it was. We didn't really face any other big clubs and whatever, and we did some comebacks. So in Champions League, you need a bit of a luck to reach
yeah.
the final stages. And many times you don't have the luck, even if you have a great team, and you come across a tough team, and that's it. That's the end of your campaign. Um, Given that, and given our history of 10 years where we haven't gone to the finals, Dom, where do you see this team consistently challenging with runs into the quarterfinal and champion and semifinals for the next few years? That's the
Yeah,
bare
that's it.
minimum that we can expect for the team, for an elite team or an elite club or what have you, a big club. Could we expect, like before, that at least they will go to the quarterfinals or the semis?
hmm hmm Well, we'll keep going back to that, but the foundation of this team is very good, and I would say that yes, for the next 10 years, we have a team to compete, especially the team that is led by Lamine Yamal. I think that is the big thing that we have going for us is Lamine actually leading this team to glory, because I don't think the Lamine story ends here. This is the beginning of the Lamine story. It's
Yep.
also the beginning of the Pedri story, beginning of potentially Gavi's story. We'll see. We'll see.
Gavi,
There's
Bernal,
Bernal. Yeah.
Casido, everybody.
Yeah. We have players and Kubarsi. We have players who are just at the beginning of their stories, right?
Yeah.
And to have a Champions League semi-final, at the beginning of their stories and have a Copa del Rey, have a La Liga, potentially another La Liga if we can win this one as well. This is incredible for this team. So I think we have the foundation to go and do the same thing for many years to come. Now, the other side of the coin is equally important because we have to admit that this season, for all our quality, for all our success and performances, we have also overperformed many, many, many
Massively.
times.
Yeah, yeah.
Massively, yeah.
Massively at times.
In terms of goals scored, I think that what this team needs to learn to do more of is score quote unquote easier goals because we cannot rely on Rafinha screamers. We cannot rely on Lamine somehow missing 100 easy chances then scoring a screamer off the edge of the box. You can't, these types of goals do not predict sustainability. We need to be able to score goals that are repeatable, score goals that are, again, I go back to saying easier goals, but there's no easy goals to score in football, at least not at that high of a level in football. However, we need to be able to score goals that are more repeatable. We have scored so many goals this season, 160 or something like that, but so many of those have
We'll
been,
never be able to score again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Especially with the Rafinha goals and
Even
some of the
all 50 goals.
performances, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So from that perspective, I think that is the next step for this team because we miss so many chances that are harder to miss than to score. We genuinely, I catch myself thinking that same thought almost every game. And if you want to be a team that is consistently at the top and is consistently beating both the big teams and the small teams, you have to be able to score those. Tonight, even against Inter, we missed Eric Garcia missed an open goal basically, right? So and then
Jamal missed an
Lewandowski,
open goal. Eric Garcia
uh,
missed an open goal.
we
uh,
had, yeah.
Lever missed.
So
You expect a Lever to bury that header. Like
absolutely, yeah,
you,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
literally expect him to bury that header. So yeah, we definitely missed, and then Jan Sommer pulled out I don't know how many saves.
Oh yeah, that
So
too.
another day, with a little bit of luck, you score 6 goals out there. But football is not about that. Football is about what you actually do, not what could have happened. So yeah, and we understand that. But yeah, I mean, finishing is one of the things. And I think yes, this gegenpressing style of playing is amazing, but somewhere I think we have to look into the defense and concede a little less. I don't know how many goals have we conceded this season, Dom? Close to what? I don't know, 60, 70, 80?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
much?
yeah. Luckily for us, we managed to outscore
We outscored and we
the
won, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not sustainable.
It's not, no, no.
It's not sustainable. Somewhere, I don't know what. I mean, obviously, Flick is. I mean, Flick knows much more about football than I do for sure. But,
I mean,
uh, but
it's
yeah,
what we expected Flick to do, and he is staying true to that. And I'm just seeing, are you seeing these Araujo quotes now, Dev? Because that is a bit ridiculous. Araujo said he's actually blaming publicly blaming Gerard Martin for the 3-3 goal. That is a bit, but
that is not going to go down well
that's
with
not. I mean,
anybody.
how do you? That is, see, that's also not captain behavior at all. I mean, how can you come out and say my teammate is at fault? That's why we conceded the
It's
goal,
the
and
same
that's
thing that happened with him, right? So I think the Gundogan incident that we all
yeah.
remember. This is basically
Hmm.
what happened with Gundogan, right? And Gundogan came out and said it was because of Araujo that we missed.
Yeah.
Uh,
But this is I don't, how can, in a game that he's made two big massive errors, now he comes out and says it's somehow Gerard Martin's fault. I mean, Gerard Martin wasn't perfect, and yes, he could have done more, but he was fouled. That's first and foremost, he was fouled.
yeah, he was definitely fouled. That's a pure, clear foul.
But to come out and say this publicly after such a game and after that performance from himself, I don't think that was the right thing to do at Araujo. I don't, that will not go down well with the fans. And I wonder what Flick will have to say about that because that's not how you talk about your teammates
I
in
don't know.
public
Inside, what
after.
will happen? Internally, what they will discuss. Externally, Flick has obviously taken a very soft shot at the penalty that all the 50-50s went Inter's way. That's the
Yeah.
only quote that I saw from him. Um, he has not talked about anything. He has said that, okay, you know what, we'll come back stronger and, all of that stuff. But the only thing that
Hmm.
he has said is the referee. That's basically what he has said.
Hmm. That is weird. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's, I don't know. I don't know. That's just, I did not expect him to do that, especially because he's the captain. He was the captain after he came on as well, and that's just not what you say. Not in a game like this.
Because it
After a
is
game like
exactly
after,
what Gundogan has said about
yeah,
Araujo.
yeah,
Exactly. Like if you frame the quote, like literally he's saying, and then let me show it to people what there. I'm sure they have seen it already, but this
hmm,
is what Araujo is saying. So Gerard Martin was absent for the equalizer goal. He was late in competing for the ball and caused a mistake. But in any case, these are not excuses. We must raise our heads and
uh,
move forward. This is exactly what Gundogan said 1 year ago on that penalty, saying that Araujo
uh,
shouldn't have done that, and it was because of that that the team lost. So maybe he suffered from that, and then maybe that was a psychological thing, and then maybe he wants to get ahead of the retribution or the comments on social, or maybe, and that's why he made that comment. But he's going to have a tough time on social from the fans.
yeah,
I think Gerard Martin won a lot of fans, whether you like him or not, dislike him, that's separate. But I think he won a lot of fans with the hard work that he had put in, and we all saw again on both ties the mistakes that led to the goals, and Araujo was involved in all of them, mostly.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's I did not expect that, to be honest, and to
That's weird. Like, and the whole team has been so united throughout. At
yeah,
least on paper, they have been united. What happens behind the scenes, you don't know. But on paper, they have been united, and this just feels a little bit weird from that
it
perspective.
does. Luckily, Ter Stegen didn't play, because if he did play and then we lost, oh, that would have been.
That would have been.
Yeah, I know, I
And
know.
Chesney was. I think Chesney was not that good.
No,
Like,
it wasn't.
if you
No.
are conceding 4 goals,
Mhm.
you cannot not you cannot say
Yeah,
that the goalkeeper had nothing to do with it.
yeah, yeah,
Let's not blame him. He's had great games, but I think this clearly shows that the Chesney experiment also needs to end. Um, Question who comes
yeah.
because I think
That's the big
Josh
one.
Tegan
Yeah,
is still remaining. He's still on contract. I don't think he's going anywhere. But who is the backup goalkeeper that comes? Is it Chesney? I would probably say we should look for somebody younger and somebody with better shot stopping abilities. Of course, the Spaniel situation, because of the politics, it will never happen.
yeah, probably
And
not.
we
Yeah,
know that it is not going to. So let's leave that. But I'm sure there are other shot stoppers out there which we can think about. So that would be interesting. But okay, we have been um, yeah, man, this was tough. This was
yeah,
tough, and we knew it would be tough the day we lost. We've been riding that success.
yeah,
Round of 16, we rode it. Semifinals, we rode it. Uh, uh, the first leg we wrote it, and today that was the end of it. And but it's been such a great season. And as I said, like and I genuinely mean that. Team wise, I don't have any problem where we are. It's okay. We've not won the champ. Like it's fine.
yeah,
I think what worried me the most in the last 5 years was that we were so bereft of any identity, and we had almost become a laughing stock.
yeah,
Literally, after 3 years in Europa, we had literally become a laughing stock from being those purists who define football to that. I think this season we have salvaged that pride, and that was more important than anything else. Anything else. Ultimately, football, one team will win and one team will lose. But Flick's been able to do that. And the other story that is incredibly gratifying is that we have done it with mostly academy players without spending huge amounts of money and outscoring even prime Messi and Neymar and Luis Suarez. I don't think there's a single Barca fan who would have thought that is even possible. And the
mhm,
fact that these kids have done this, and today I think Jamal's performance was absolutely generational. He didn't get a goal, unlucky, but I mean, I don't know how many people have seen a performance better than that in a Champions League semi-final from anybody. I don't think so. I shouldn't say this, but I don't think Messi at 17 and the Champions League final.
no,
I just
no,
don't think because we've seen him play. Yeah, doesn't mean that he will become better than Messi. Or Messi is Messi. He has his name in history, but this was an outrageous performance from him, and yeah, he's just unlucky that Jan Sommer tonight decided to have a game for. a lifetime, and
Yeah.
couldn't. But any final thoughts, Dom, before we sign off?
Uh, Not really. I would just say to everyone that this is a tough night. Obviously, it's a tough game to lose. It was. We fought until the end. That's what matters. As Dev says, this team has brought back respect to the Barca name, which is
Abs-
incredible. Not just respect, but teams actually feared facing us. They all knew what was coming. Even Inter. Inter.
Come on, we go to
They
San Siro and we do three
Yeah,
three. Come on, man, this
exactly. Yeah,
is huge.
we scored 6 goals against Inter. They have conceded, I don't know, maybe 5 throughout the whole champion. I don't know how many, but they don't concede many goals, and we scored 6 in 2 games against them. We have conceded 7, true, but
Yeah, it's
we have
fine.
still
We
scored.
have
Yeah,
conceded, and that's why we
yeah,
have
yeah,
lost. But come
yeah,
on, how many teams in Champions League away game at the San
yeah,
Siro are scoring 3 goals? Not
yeah.
many.
So yeah, not happening. So I
Not many.
think this team has what it takes to continue this ball, continue rolling the ball, into next season. But now, first and foremost, let's finish the season on a high note.
Yeah,
Let's
I
beat
mean, we would
Madrid.
love to finish.
Yeah,
I mean, this team does. I mean, for the effort that they have put in, this team
yeah,
deserves something.
absolutely. Yeah,
So it
something
would be
more.
good
Yeah,
for them to win the league. Good for them because along with that will come the adulation and the excitement and the happiness, and I think they deserve that. It will be hard because it's ultimately Madrid. I don't know whether we can defeat Madrid 5 times in a season. It just, it just seems weird,
yeah,
and they haven't won anything. Their season has been an absolute washout. They're going to come with everything on this
yeah,
match. We are going to be a little bit depressed and down. We are missing key players. And lately, we haven't been able to impose ourselves in the games like we were doing in the earlier part of the season. So uh, it might not be the easiest of games, but the good thing is we still have a buffer. And even if the Madrid game goes for a toss, we still have our destiny in our own hands. But the next
yeah.
3 games are also not easy. They're difficult games.
Difficult games. Yeah,
Difficult games. So it will be there will be something to look out for till the end of the season, and that's good because for us it's good content, and for us we get to meet
yeah,
you and all that stuff that happens. But we'll be obviously back after the Classico, and we'll pick up the coverage from there. And then as the season starts winding down, the really normal stuff around finances, how much we made, transfer window. Dom's done a phenomenal series on transfers. You should go and check out the content that he's been putting out in terms of the strikers or wingers that we want to go after, and some even profiles from La Masia. I mean, you guys should absolutely read that stuff. It's incredible. The amount of effort that he puts in, the insights that he brings, and it's all there. Most of it's free, so please read, and we'll bring more of that into as the transfer season comes in. And yeah, man, we'll be back again next year in the Champions League and cover it, and wherever we end, man. Keep hoping. Always Barca. And
always
peace out,
Barca.
Barca.